here we are, TrippinB and DraftKicks, as mentioned before. But I wanted to start with the standings, as you saw there on the screen, to start the episode, because it's true. I see you rocking the St. Louis, and there they are, St. Louis City SC, not the county SC. They are first place. You know, they've got a game. LAFC has a game in hand, can jump them with a win in that match. But who would have thought the new boys out to a rip-roaring start? And I see you rocking the dog food kit.
Right.
Go Purina. And how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, man. I'm just wondering, where's the all cap city in that standings? You know, that's the brand.
Right.
It's got to be St. Louis City all caps.
Right,
so,
exactly. City all caps.
Especially if you're at the top of the table, they got to. I mean, why not just capitalize all of it? Mm-hmm. St. Louis City in all caps.
Isn't Nashville a city also technically? Isn't it Nashville City SC?
No, just Nashville. I think New York City is the only other city.
Okay, I'm sorry, false accusation.
Yeah. But no, St. Louis City, man, proving us all wrong. Klaus last week, I think I was, kind of a little bit low on him than he should be. You're repping the crown, repping your brand over there. But Klaus came through again. St. Louis City came through again.
You got to lean to your right. You got to frame your head is being blocked by the logo of the show.
All right, we got to work on our graphics, but we're getting there, right?
Well, I like the logo being in there. Sorry, we're troubleshooting this live in the middle of the show, but yeah,
tattoo it to my head.
But yeah, St. Louis, man, they're doing it. They're doing it, and we got to give them their flowers, their props. I talked a lot of trash before the season, and so I have to eat crow. But we're here to talk about Gameweek 365 in MLS in the America Division. It's a big game week, and we got a couple of topics on tap that we want to discuss with y'all. We want to talk about the ups and downs of Sorare in terms of results. Schuyler started the season off pretty hot and then has kind of slipped down a little bit, whereas or just slowed down a little bit. I guess I don't know. I'll let you describe whatever's happening with your club.
Right.
I'm finally starting to get a few card wins. They're not great ones, but a few better wins. So I did a midweek podium, last week, and won my second Hani Mukhtar card. So it was kind of funny. I was in the streets complaining, freaking Mukhtar! They can't believe they gave me Mukhtar, this guy, know. And then again, and then all these people were like, "Man, I'd kill to win a Mukhtar. What are you complaining about? Gosh, loser, what's your problem?" So yeah, that kind of opened my eyes again to quit being a whiner. But and then Mukhtar scored a goal, so there you go. You can't hurt to have two of them. I guess I'm just mad because I would have wanted to sell one of them, but his price has cratered just like everything else. So, but we're going to talk about the ups and downs. We're going to talk about what you do. We're going to talk about the threshold. We're going to it's a focus on the threshold episode. It's a time to talk about the sweet dose of ETH that you can get every week by playing your cards right in the cap 240. DraftKicks, you're kind of a specialist at that. You hit the threshold way more often than I do, so I need some advice for you for that. If we have time, we're going to try to hit on an amateur draft. No promises, but then we will get to the definite decisives. Which, spoiler alert, I hit 2 last week. You hit 1, so there we go. So with that, it's on to Gameweek 365 and the odds check. We always like to start with the odds. And here are the odds as we look on April 22nd. I started at the bottom of the page. So let's go back to the top. Montreal and the Red Bulls are in kind of a weird matchup. Red Bulls slight road favorites. Charlotte somehow has
screen up there so we can see it.
Oh, whoops. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Sorry. My bad producing by the.
I mean, I'm sure everybody wants to see you just rattling off the odds.
I could have just rattled them off. Yeah. The visual aids help. Yeah, exactly. Slowly but surely, we're figuring out how to actually do this show. So yeah, Montreal and New York, Red Bulls with a slight favorite-ish number on the road. Charlotte, a slight favorite-ish number against, a far superior Columbus team. Charlotte at home, we're going to struggle to get a point in that match. Hopefully we can get it. Cincy looking good. I don't know. That seems like a weird number to me. I do like Cincy's chance to win, but 175 for a team that's had a couple of its sort of weaknesses exposed and still missing Lucho Acosta. I'm not sure about that number. New England at minus 130 over KC. NYC is even money. hosting Dallas, Orlando, even money hosting DC. That I like Orlando there. I think Orlando could really get busy this weekend. Philly sort of off there. Do you think any CCL hangovers coming for Philly Union, or what's their status in your mind?
No, I think they'll be fine. I think their focus will be on MLS now, and Toronto FC is surprisingly unbeaten, and they're on a nice run of games right now. I think I don't know, I want to say approaching maybe 5, 6, 7 games unbeaten, and a lot of them draws, but they're finding a way to get results. But still think Philadelphia is the superior side there.
Yeah, 4 draws in a row for Toronto and a win, but right before that would make for 5 games unbeaten. Yep, and Philly could end that, but Philly's just, I don't know. I foresee a little bit of a CCL hangover. I still don't think they're going to be back to sort of their full routine strength there, but we'll see. Houston gets Herrera back after he missed a game for a red card, so they're back to being favorites against Miami. I like their chances there. Total even money. Nashville total even money hosting LAFC. I don't know. Willis, I think my Joe Willis finally gets put into a low priority lineup this week after he's been anchoring some big lineups for me the last few weeks. Rapids with the late equalizer against Charlotte. This is a weird number for sure. Rapids only being a plus 110 and St. Louis plus 230. Maybe I'm just like drinking the St. Louis Kool-Aid now, but going to altitude is one thing, but the Rapids do not look good, and St. Louis looks really good. So Real similar with San Jose. Galaxy put some goals on LAFC. Are the Galaxy back in your mind? Ricky Puig finally put on a little masterclass there.
Yeah, Puig looked amazing. They've got Chicharito back in the mix now. I like the way that they were working together, and I think Chicharito definitely opens things up a lot more for the Galaxy. So yeah, this is a great bounce back spot for them at home against an Austin team that's just struggled, just on the struggle bus this season.
I'm not afraid to play Stuver. I may be a fool, but I'm not afraid to play Stuver in this matchup. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Stuve could totally come through with a solid game. I feel like it's a good spot for the Galaxy. Same with the Seattle there. At home against Minnesota, coming off a big loss at Portland, a game which they pretty much hung around and were possibly the better side for a good portion of, and then Portland turned it on at the end.
Flipped it on its head, yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is a good bounce back spot for Seattle. I like them at home.
That Asprilla bicycle kick goal was just absolute thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. If you have not seen that Asprilla goal, go to MLSsoccer.com. That's where, you can catch a lot of highlights there if you're just
Major League Soccer.com.
Yeah, that's right. Major League Soccer.com. But no, it's a good resource if you just want to do a quick 5, 6, 7 minute hit on game summary. Then pretty much every game has their highlights posted right there to the page. And yeah, that bicycle kick, probably goal of the year already.
Right. Just for what it did in terms of sparking the comeback as well. And then thank God we get another Sunday game. I enjoyed having El Trafico on Sunday. I've said it before in a few different forums where I'm watching a little bit less MLS this year because so many games are happening right in the same window where I'm at a game. I'm at the Charlotte FC home games, and then we go to watch parties for the road games. So I miss out on seeing a lot of other action outside of watching MLS 360 or MLS Wrap. So I really liked that Saturday afternoon game, how there was one standalone game before all the 7:30 Easterns got going, and I wish they could get back to that, but I do like seeing back-to-back Sundays with a standalone game. Atlanta versus Chicago, that should be easy work for the Five Stripes, right?
And I don't know, that's another one that's tricky because Chicago have actually been pulling in some results lately. I want to say that a recent rankings that I saw posted at MLSsoccer.com had Fire sitting at number 10. And so a little bit somewhat surprising, but they're
16th in the standing, but also unbeaten in 5 with 2 wins and 3 draws. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, on a little bit of a mini roll. Atlanta, obviously we saw Guzan is out. Westberg filled in for him this past weekend at Toronto. They got a 2-2 draw. I'd expect him to stay in the mix there. But you think
Westberg stays in? There's no challenge from Diop? I think that's a question in a lot of people's minds.
I wouldn't say it's 100% Westberg, but I just don't see him getting pulled after this weekend. 2 goals that he gave up, really not much you could do there. Just don't see any reason to just continually rotate the keepers unless there's a reason to an injury or
unless you're Bob Bradley. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unless you're Bob Bradley. But
so you heard it here. You heard it here on Major League So Rare. DraftKicks telling you, go and buy Quentin Westberg, and if he doesn't work out, then send your refund bills to DraftKicks on Sorare.
No, don't do that.
At DraftKicks on Twitter. Yeah.
Hey, he's a good strong Cap 240 keeper this week.
Yeah. I've got him. I had him from last year when I played the Toronto goalkeeper roulette last year because he was super cheap and I hated it. And then I just held on to him thinking he'd get a move. I thought he might go to like the French second division, League 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But he ended up Atlanta's backup. And then I was like, that's kind of promising because I had a feeling Guzan would find a way to miss some time. So,
yeah, coming off a big injury last season. That was not a bad prediction. And you hate to see somebody go down like that. But as old as he is, as long as he's been around, then, yeah, I mean, you can kind of – it's a little bit of guesswork. But, yeah, you want to have some exposure to a backup for a keeper that old that's dealt with recent injuries. And so, hey, I was right there with you. I had 2 super rares in my back pocket, so I was able to sell one off for some of that sweet ETH.
That's sweetie. Yeah.
And then
exactly.
Used one in Cap 240. But real quick, bouncing back to that Atlanta game, they did just I think they lost Giacomakis in over the weekend. And so he's out of the equation. I know you said it might be some light work for him, but he's been doing good for him since he got integrated into the mix. So I think that could definitely take its toll. Not sure how long he's going to be out. It looked like maybe a hammy or a quad. So usually that's about a month at least.
We hate to see it. He was scoring goals. I think he scored in his first 3 MLS games. One of the first few, like he tied a record of not very many people have done that, right?
Yeah, he's been good.
So, yeah, good for him, Georgios. Atlanta has had some injuries here and there with Guzan, Almada being banged up. Now Giacomaki going to miss some time. Araujo's kind of been their steady Eddie. So we'll see what Atlanta can do. I like I said, I just like having them in a standalone game. But all that talk as far as Westberg, as far as like buying a backup keeper and getting stuck in the goalkeeper roulette and then like having a guy injured and go down and, you invest a lot. I think a lot of people who are like playing the game for the first time this year and even veterans of this game are starting to get in that phase of the season. We started like 8 weeks ago. And now it's that phase where it's like, okay, my team has delivered such and such results in the first 2 months of the season. Where am I at? What do I need to do? Do I just stick with it? What do I do? And so it gets into like that main thrust of what we want to talk about, which was the ups and downs of the game. In terms of you can't win every week. I mean, some people win every week. Some people are really good at this game and have that, very wisely allocated their resources and they're winning all the time. And it's easy to get jealous, I think, at times, but you just got to play your own game. And for most of us, it's going to be kind of like tough to win every single week, right? But like, how do you deal with the ups and downs, Schuyler? Like, what's your techniques, or how much do you adjust after a bad week? How much do you celebrate on a good week? Things like that.
Yeah, it's a grind, man. I mean, it's one of those things where I know for you, especially a couple of weeks ago, I could tell you're down in the dumps. Just like we're 8 weeks in, I'm not winning shit. Like, yeah, it takes its toll. For me, I think for both of us, it's we don't have these whale accounts where we can just go and buy any card we want, and just build the best lineup. Like it's been a project over the years, and then building up to the season, you kind of you've got your guys that you target and you think are going to bring in some prizes. And then, for me, especially
this is my team's on the floor, to quote Hoosiers, right? It's like, these are my guys. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, we're, like you said, we're about 8 weeks in, and I've won some stuff here and there. I've hit some good thresholds, but I haven't hit a podium, and stuff like that starts to, it starts to register with me. I'm like, okay, we've got this Major League Sorare podcast we're hyping and this and that, but where are the results? And like I said, I've won some stuff since the season started. I'm not mad or upset about it. Like it's good just to win.
I'm scrolling through here on the screen some of your recent rewards, and I'll do the same for my. Not if you want me to not do this, you tell me. Sorry, I did kind of spring this on you, but we're seeing you're winning some cards. It's nice, little Walker's Zimmerman prize. You won Jimmy. I mean, you got to love winning Jimmy, right?
Yeah, I think Jimmy's gone from the collection now. I think
Jimmy cracked corn and sold his card. Yeah, exactly.
But
Jimmy's gone. Yeah,
one of those things where
that was a nice prize for sure. Anyone on
that forward card is nice. I was hoping to maybe just go ahead and get 0.1 or whatever for it. His price has dipped since then, but who knows? We'll get something out of it at some point. But yeah, it's just for me. Then you got to kind of have that marathon. It's a marathon, not a race mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, we've kind of got our squad. We're gonna try to win some ETH from week to week. For me, especially, I've said from the get go, like I'm gonna focus on the Cap 240, and it's paid off. I've hit super rare 2 weeks in a row coming into this past game week, which I think a lot of us got screwed over by several DMPs, myself included.
Yeah, exactly. There's one I want to ask you about in a second, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and so
I've switched the screen over here to my rewards recently, just so we can sort of see.
There you go, look at that nice shiny Omir Fernandez.
Oh yeah, beautiful. Oh, tier 4 Omir. He's nice and shiny. 23-year-old. Yeah, you think, oh, great young midfielder. This guy, his SO5 scoring is crap, unfortunately. So but yeah, you were talking about getting the thresh and just being able to get it. You get it 2 weeks in a row, you're on top of the world, right?
Yeah, and then you can obviously use that to turn it into another card and do what you want with it. But for me, then I feel like I've kind of from the get-go said I'm going to focus on Cap 240. From there, try to kind of prioritize maybe All-Star Rare Pro, and then America from then down. But try to get in your groove. Like I feel like I was kind of in a groove there for a while. I actually have hit a rare threshold. I want to say 3 weekends in a row. I won't say game weeks because I'm not throwing anything out there midweek usually, since I'm mostly MLS. But yeah, try to focus on 1 or 2 competitions that you feel really good about getting a reward in. And for me, it's been that Cap 240. And then if we can hit a podium along the way like you did a couple weeks ago, then it's just gravy on top.
Yeah, I tend to play sort of a podium chasing style, and that may be a weakness. Like I said, I've won fewer thresholds than I probably should have or could have if I played a little different style. You can see just like scrolling through some of my manager stats here on Sorare data. It's some ups and downs, riding the roller coaster. I've been in my time since February of 2021. I've been through a few different waves here, as you can see. So as my gallery has grown, collection has grown, you can see. So not afraid to share some of my stats just as we talk about this topic of ups and downs. I mean, mentally it can be tough to because you get to a point where it's like you start the game, you love the game, you're like, oh, I'm all in. I want to make the best teams I can. Like I need to scout all the time. I need to be like figuring out who's good and stuff like that. And then it's like, well, at a certain point, you do hit this wall where you're like, okay, I've spent as much as I want to spend on this game. I don't really want to spend more money on cards. Like I've got the cards I have, and these cards can either win me some prizes to help me grow my collection, or else, because it's like at a certain point, like just throwing more money to grow your collection is not viable at whatever level that is for whatever listener you are. You get to a point you're like, okay, I got to stop spending money on this. So at that point, if you go a few weeks without winning, it can get like really frustrating because you're like, man, can my cards do it? At that point, it may be time to sell off a few cards. It may be time maybe you did make some bad purchases, and it's like you may have to eat a loss on a few cards to sort of reconfigure and like go
that reset button.
Yeah, you do a little bit smaller. I haven't felt like I felt urges to do that at times, but I haven't felt like enough of a need to do it all the way at certain points. If you go through, though, it's funny. Here's another thing I can share. Let me call it up here in a second. But I keep – this is kind of weird because in addition to all my everything that you can track on your Sorare data, right, and you can see like legit everything you've done – on that macro level or whatever is pretty easy to find on Sorare data. But I actually keep my own sheet also, which is kind of crazy probably in some people's minds, but you can see like everything that I've put into it. And like what I want to show is, see, like if you're orange on this list, that means I got rid of your card, right?
Pull it up there.
So
pull it up on the screen there.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Second time I've done that today. So if these cards are orange on the screen, that means that I don't have the card anymore. If they're light blue, that means I have them, right? Just as I kind of scroll quickly through this. So you can see, like, as I'm down here at the bottom of the spreadsheet, all these early cards I bought are just like crap cards that I had no business owning, so and like didn't really know how they worked, how the game worked and stuff like that. So I like had to get rid of them, and like I have very few of like the old original cards. Then as I get like more into the middle of my sheet, you can see that it's a lot more blue, and like these are the cards that like I've started to add to my collection that are actually like winning me prizes and things like that. So, and easy to see how you grow and evolve in this game as you learn. So it's like I've never had to do a full reset where I just like got rid of everything, but I have had to do stuff where I like so where like realized like, okay, this isn't working for me. I got to get rid of this guy somehow, unload this card to whoever's willing to take it. And like, it's tough though, because now the market's like down compared to it was, for a while, for a couple of years, it was the Sorare market was really hot, and now it's tough to like want to sell into a down market because it's not a loss until you sell, right? You don't want to like eat the bad loss on something. So I don't know. These are just some of the ups and downs type of issues and concepts and thought exercises that I'm going through every day as I'm playing this game. If any of that resonates with people, I hope it does for sure.
Oh, it has to, because like I said, it's a game of margins. I mean, you're talking about the prize pools that we're going after. Not a lot of room for error. Like we've seen several, and I know several viewers out there have put some really nice lineups together, and you go home with nothing. And so it gets frustrating, it gets trying, but it is definitely rewarding when that one hits, or one or two good ones slide through, and it all comes together. And so that's what we're going for, right? That's why we're staying focused on the task at hand, and upward and onward, right?
Yeah, you shouted out. You mentioned the Omir Fernandez super rare that I won last week when I was sort of looking through the recent rewards. Here is the lineup that did it. Not like it's some great prize that I'm bragging about or anything, but I finally got. It's the first reward won by my Karol Swiderski unique card that I won at auction in August last year of 2022. And I've been putting them in lineups. I've had all kinds of like hard luck issues with trying to get any type of yield or return out of this unique. That Swiderski's like my favorite player on my favorite team. So like I love having this card. It's like it's probably my favorite card in my deck easily. But like finally got all the performances together to where I could like get a prize. And even with 300 at one point, I must have gotten opted down. I lost a few spots to Opta for sure, because at one point I had 402 points here, but even with like 402 points, you're barely fighting for a top 10 in this Division 2, which the super rare division is notorious for not really giving great prizes. And like I said, Omir Fernandez isn't the greatest prize, but like it's just like Alexis Pena was my captain. Actually, with his captain bonus and the super rare, he had a clean sheet, and then his team gave up a goal. It had nothing to do with him, and he loses 21 points for that, like 10 for the clean sheet, 4 for the goal allowed, and then 7 for the 50% bonus that he was getting as captain. So just kind of funny, but yeah, that's one of my ups. That's a recent up that I had, I guess you could say. It's like I finally got a prize out of my Swiderski unique, and hopefully just the start of big things for King Karol and his unique card. I noticed Sorare already has given away the 2023 unique as a prize. They gave it to surprisingly enough, coincidentally enough, our common friend PSG fans too. He like won a Swiderski unique. Wow. So that so typical Sorare. They've already like watered down the value of my freaking unique that I bought 8 months ago. They've already like pumped the next one out. So
yeah,
what can you do,
done, man? Hey, that was a nice lineup, and yeah, I know it's got to feel good. Finally hitting a prize with that Swiderski unique. For me, it's such a good feeling when you maybe feel like you might have overspent on a card, but it somehow sticks around. You keep the faith, and then when you win that prize, it all comes together, and you're like, "Yeah, this is why I did it." And then, I love going back, especially on some cards, and I'm like, "God, why did I pay that much on that guy?" But then I'll go back onto Sorare data and look at the prizes that I've won for that card, and try to add it up in my head. And I'm like, okay, this guy's won me more prizes than I paid for. I'm like, it's justified, right? Like you got to find a way to justify some of those purchases for sure in your mind. And that's one of those kind of ups for me, is when I do look at a card that I feel like has been a little bit of a letdown or maybe an overspend. But then when you see that it's actually won you maybe, more prizes than what you paid for it or what you put into it, then yeah, it feels like it makes it all worth it.
Shout out to my my Mauricio Pereira super rare. He's won me a good boatload of prizes for sure, including a Yamar that I got back in the day and sold for a nice chunky ETH back in the day. But yeah, it kind of, the Omir card probably not going to find its way into any high priority lineups for me. I was really disappointed when I looked at his SO5 scoring, unfortunately, but he's young, so maybe worth holding on to for a little while, since it's not going to sell for much anyway. But it kind of comes around to he may find his way into a cap 240 lineup, which gets us into sort of the next phase of this conversation, which is when you're going through the ups and downs, how do you ride out the storm? Well, you got to go for the threshold. And we call it, you and I have this joke that we like, that sweet dose. Like when you win the threshold ETH, it's just like that little dose of ETH that's just being like dipped into your account. Kind of, yeah, exactly. Shoot me up, Doc, shoot me up. And it kind of just keeps you going. It's like money. It's like ETH. It's like money that you can reinvest into the game, or you can build up, save it up for a few weeks. So that sweet dose. We used to call it the micro dose and the double dose back in the 205, 250 days. Like it's like, yeah, I couldn't get 250 for the double dose, but my team scraped its way to 205, got myself a little micro dose. So I love bringing that terminology that you and I always joke around now to the to Major League Sorare community. Give me your thoughts on winning a dose and just like how much of a priority is it, and like when you're lineup building, how hard are you prioritizing that dose, man?
Yeah, like I said, I've prioritized it all season long. Before the season, I put in place Cap 240 Super Rare, and Limited. Not quite at that level to pump in a unique team.
Okay, you're not rocking the unique doses. Okay,
getting there. Yeah, I'm not holding the Karol Swiderski unique like you are, but
you could have. There's two out there. Talk to Sean. Yeah.
So obviously, Cap 240. Absolutely loved when we got the announcement a few weeks back that they were doubling the prize. We got, in
Super Rare 240, yeah.
Super Rare, yeah, Cap 240 Super Rare, sorry. So, yeah, once that happened, then I was like, we started to see some movement as far as the market. People were coming in and buying some cards off me. I actually feel like I probably let some cards go that I shouldn't have once they did announce that double up. But, yeah, Cap 240 Super Rare has pretty much become my priority. Because once you hit that, then that's just, you're talking what, 0.12 ETH, somewhere around there.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice hunk of ETH to work with. And then, yeah, Cap 240 Rare too. It's like, if you can get that, secure that 0.025.
Yeah. Do it every week for do it 5 times in a month. And all of a sudden you got a tenth of an ETH. You're looking to buy another card that can help you big time.
Yeah, I think I said before the season started, I actually did some math, and I want to say if you were hitting the Cap 240 threshold and Super Rare, and Limited, you're going to be pushing around $6,000-$7,000 in ETH rewards over the course of the season, and that was before they doubled up that Super Rare number. So I have not done the math since then, but yeah, if you can just focus on bringing that in week in, week out, then you're going to be sitting pretty at the end of the season. And so, yeah, it's just for me, that's kind of been the focus. Last week we hit a couple of whammies with Michael Bradley was my Cap 240 midfielder. And Kosi Tafari from Dallas was my defender. Both of them just kind of random DNPs. I know several guys in Discord got burnt with that as well.
Yeah, Nkosi is someone we've been pitching a lot, so
yeah, just hit me out of
I'm looking at your game week results, but I'm on the wrong damn week. Sorry, I'm looking at your midweek. I wanted to look at what you do. There you go. Here's your Cap 240 Rare came through with the dose, which you gotta love. Latif Blessing, Pamakal, Ruiz, Nuhu, and Blake. But then you took the DNP in the Super Rare. You said, right?
Yeah. Yep. Cap 240 Super Rare. Finished about 100 points off the thresh, and who knows, it feels like Nkosi and Bradley are both 50-point guys every time they are on the field. So, yeah, I feel like I could have gotten there, but again, that's just kind of, you feel like you do everything you can on your end. There's no news of these guys being out leading up to the game week. So at that point, you just kind of see the DNP and just chalk it up. Not much else you can do. I mean, let out an expletive or two and
yeah. I think with Nicosia, it was just sort of like rotation, just keep everybody fresh. He's been playing really well. I think he'll come back in, but for whatever reason, they sat him for this game. And the best info I could find on Twitter was just the beat writers were saying it was CB rotation that's just kind of been in the plans. So I don't think he's going to miss any long-term time. We'll look for some presser updates on that. Obviously, we'll all be looking later in the week. But I wanted you to talk about
scrambling though. It's going to be scrambling because he's.
I know. It's like, can you go back to him if you don't hear anything? Can you go back to him? This week it's really tough.
Yeah, I'm nervous too, and I'm going to try to pick up a safe-ish super rare defender before the game week locks, and probably
safe-ish
roll with him. I mean, I'll probably still have Nkosi in a super rare lineup somewhere, but I just want to wait and see what happens if he gets back into the lineup before I feel confident about going with him.
Yeah, because like you said, the sweet dose is one of your top priorities. So, like, who are some players that you feel like you could recommend to our viewers? And our Discord, we've been seeing this question in the Discord a lot, which if you're not in the Discord yet, look for the link in this description down below, or message us on Twitter, or find us on Discord. Like the Major League Sorare Discord is popping and hopping for sure. Like we got a good amount of people in there, and everybody's having a good time. So, but the people that have been chatting in there recently have been saying, like, who's someone I can buy for a reliable threshold player? So you're the expert, DraftKicks. I need to know, like, who, because I'm a wild man. I'm the guy that's going crazy with my definite decisives. I'm the guy who's, putting crazy players in. I'm the guy who's like putting a 30. I put like 130 player so I can fit a bunch of 50 pluses into my 240s. And that, I think, is a little bit more of a volatile way to play that. You need to come with us, come correct, give us the names, give us some guys. I'll look up their pages for people to be buying, or at least scouting.
Yeah, he was in my lineup that you just pulled up this past game week, but guy that's really just been bringing in the AAs all season long. A little bit of a surprise for me, but it was he's in my rare lineup. Sorry, it's Nuhu Tolo for Seattle.
Yeah,
and I feel like his price is still within reason. And his last 15 is probably hovering around 50-ish. So, obviously you're gonna have to find some value to work in, but yeah, look at his SO5 scores there. He's just been racking up the AAs, real consistent week in, week out.
Floor price of 0.05 for a guy who can very consistently go over 20 AA is real nice. Averaging 26 L5, averaging 15 L15. So yeah, is this an anomaly because his L5 AAs are way higher than his L15 and L40s? Do you think it's an anomaly, or do you think it's just the way things are going with him in Seattle right now?
No, I think it's just it's been that way since the beginning of the season. So I feel like his role, maybe he's starting to collect a little bit more AAs.
I like it.
Just in the way that Seattle's playing this year. And
51 L15 makes it a little tough to fit him in cap, would you say? But do you think it's worth it just because he's been so dependable?
Yeah, if you can find that value, then yeah, he's for me, he's been one of my go-tos. And when you find that core of guys that just week in, week out, get the results, get the job done, then yeah, it's like you find a way to keep rolling them out there. Let me throw, he's not quite on the same level as Nuhu, and he's just a little bit cheaper, but a guy that just came back for Vancouver. Look at Luis Martins. He's been kind of a sneaky play for, I'd say he's a value for a defender.
Okay.
But he's pulled in some pretty
L15
nice.
Of 47, so he kind of fits in there. A little expensive.
But look at his price, though.
Price
for
is so
a guy like
dirt
that,
cheap. Yeah, $20, 0.01 floor price is absolutely insane for a guy who can get over 10 AA consistently and up to 30. He also takes some set pieces for Vancouver, right? Like,
Yep. That's what I was about to say. Is he's been on some set pieces. His starts have been a little bit inconsistent. I think some of that's because of Champions League rotation, and then I think he was also maybe dealing with a little bit of an injury at one point. But it seems like he's in a good spot there in Vancouver, and for that price, and I think he's definitely worth a look for somebody that can hit that 50 to 60 point range. Especially being on set pieces. And feel like he's a fairly solid defensive play there for cap mode.
Yeah, what do you think of I'll throw a guy in the mix who's been working pretty well for me. It's former U.S. men's national midfielder Jackson Ewell, who comes in a little expensive again against the cap at a 50, but he's super cheap for a card and he's super dependable. Like, I like this guy because you just know he's always going to get you, at least 45 plus. Like, you just look at it. The upside is a little bit lacking, I'll admit, but like, if you need just a building block, a guy who you can just like plug and play for not that much ETH, it's a little bit hard to build around because you do have like the 50 L15 against the cap. So it's not like some like super cheap value play, but Jackson is a guy that I've been plugging and playing in my super rare 240s so far this year. And it's made it hard, so I can reliable, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Sorry, excuse me. It's just like I feel good plugging him into a cap 240 lineup for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's another one of those kind of, for me, like a building block type player, kind of like how Nuhu is on my back line, like a guy that you feel like you can just plug in there and then it's just fitting the pieces in around that. Like, you kind of know what you're going to get out of those building block type players. You're hoping for at least hitting that 50 range week in, week out. And then from there, just kind of trying to plug in some pieces around them that are going to hit that 250 mark.
Are there any like super values that you've spotted in your scouting so far for this week that like just guys with good matchups? One guy that I thought of, I'll give you some time to think on that and not put you on the spot, but this was a guy that I was scouting when I was looking, and you can tell me what you think. Because Real Salt Lake actually has a really good matchup this week coming up. So if you're looking for a value play for this week at home against the Quakes, I got to send some love for my boy Anderson Julio. If you're looking for a really cheap forward against the cap, I mean, this guy is 0.015 ETH, $35 for a rare. He's under $5 for a limited. He's only 36 against the cap. His SO5 scores, I mean, you tell me. He has the upside to get to 60. He's had some negatives. He's a little bit risky. He's a little bit volatile. But if you're looking to build a lineup around like one cheap player, then get some more dependable players in and just play the matchup, I think you could do worse than Anderson Julio this week. Am I crazy? Am I selling snake oil here? You tell me. What do you think?
No, I like the play. I mean, for that
for the 36 cap hit is what I'm thinking here,
Yeah, no, I like it. He's been, like you said, I mean, he's kind of one of those players that Salt Lake, then he's going to be.
The thing is, if he doesn't get you the goal, then he didn't really hurt you that bad. That's my thing is like you probably were able to fit two guys that have like a 60 floor into your lineup by putting him in, I guess, is the strategy here behind a play like this when you're going for the ETH. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a little bit more of the wild man. I'll take a chance on a guy like this in a capped lineup, whereas maybe you will not as much. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but they are two different ways to play.
This week I do have a guy that I might be kind of in that same boat as you, but as far as Julio goes, like, yeah, he's a guy that I think they've got some pretty good matchups coming up, including this weekend. I like Salt Lake at home. Yeah, I mean, he's a guy. He's got Savarino back in the mix.
They have some really good matchups coming up. If you look at home against the Quakes, home against the Sounders, are not easy but do have a good matchup score. Away to Houston, that like the next few matchups all being in the green like that is pretty interesting for Julio. I don't know.
Yeah,
and then Portland at home even down the right, and then Colorado like in a mountain top a Rocky Mountain rivalry. I don't, maybe, man, this is making me feel really good about Savarino, by the way. I own Savarino, so I love seeing all these great forward matchups for RSL coming up. But I don't know. Give me your off the wall pick. Give me someone that you feel is maybe a little bit of a stretch, but is a nice value play.
So this is a guy that we actually talked about a little bit before our show last week. We highlighted some forwards. Felt like we probably should have thrown this guy out. Yeah, we felt like we should have at least given this guy a mention after the show. I think I was like, we should have thrown this guy out there, but wanted to see. He just came to the league, wanted to wait and see a little bit how he would integrate into the mix in Minnesota. But Jiang Ben,
I know who you're talking about.
Jiang Ben actually
Ben to win. team. We're the bin team. We're the bin bros.
I was scraping the bottom of the bin for all the bins I could get, so I think I swept the floor on rare, limited.
Yeah, you did buy bins. I'm gonna call this up. This is absolutely amazing. Look at all this buyer column, DraftKicks.
There's TrippinB up there at the top.
Yeah, you bought the bins, and you buy the limiteds too.
I bought a few. Yeah, he's a little under the radar still because he's not showing up when you filter MLS players. He doesn't have any new cards. He's still got the old, I believe it's J League cards, maybe.
K League, yeah.
K League. Sorry.
Yep. I think that's Suwon, if I'm not mistaken. Blue Wings. I could be wrong.
Yeah. So, yeah, like
he also went. He played for Grasshopper in Switzerland, and played is kind of a generous term because he barely played for him. If we go to this guy's all of his career. So if you just look real quick at his chart here, his scoring chart, you see like a really great run there of like nice green scores, like consistently green scores here. And you're like, okay, where was that? That was back when he was playing with Suwon, and he was like putting up decent numbers. Not great AA, obviously a lot of times negative AA, unfortunately, but he's getting goals. He was a pure striker there. Then he went to Grasshopper in the Switzerland League and barely played. You see all these DNPs. Just not getting on the pitch for Grasshopper. He's like 19 years old or 20 years old at this point where he's playing in Switzerland. And then he comes over to Minnesota, just starts getting in the team. He's still, 21 years old, under 23 till 2026, under contract till 2025. They brought him in. And the thing you liked about him, Schuyler, the thing that sort of you were telling me about this guy sort of like, man, I think this guy Sangbin could be pretty good for Minnesota, but I'm not ready to buy just yet. And then we saw him finally get a start against Orlando at home in Gameweek 363. And the thing that sold him to you was that he had the set pieces, right? He was like sitting over most of the sets, and that just made it like, it's like, okay, it's time to like go all in. A forward with set pieces in MLS who's under 23 is kind of like a special thing, right?
Yeah, like I said, I felt like he was a little under the radar. Minnesota heavily invested in him. Big deal, big contract. Yeah, like you said there, through 2025. And without Reynoso in the mix, it feels like they might have some plans in mind for him. He's been
28 against the cap, which is really nice for cap boarding.
First appearance, he came off the bench for like 30 minutes, and just seeing him there, I think he ended up with 8 crosses just in that last 30 minutes. Granted, they were chasing the game. They were down 2-1. But then he gets to start, and again, not even 60 minutes, he gets 8 crosses, I think, again, standing over, I think, all of their corner kicks. Ooh, and just from what you see, then you can tell like he brings some energy, he brings a spark to the team, and I don't see like, other than injury, I feel like he's in a really good spot. His price is ticking up a little bit.
Yeah, 0.125 for the rare. I just want to spotlight 0.0129, 013 for limited. So people are starting to take notice for sure. I mean, if someone sees DraftKicks buy 5 copies of a player, they're gonna react. And that the market is going to take note of that for sure. So that's good times
over here.
You're the market mover, baby. So DraftKicks, go find them, folks, and get his expert opinions at all times. Let's do the definite decisives because we've run long yet again, and we all got places to be moving to in this life. So let's get to our definite decisives. I want to bring up last week's. Let me zoom in on it a little bit here because I had zoomed out. Whoopsie. All right. So here is how we did last week. You kind of got robbed a little bit, I feel, in this one because you had Buanga and LAFC put up 3 goals and Carlos Vela hogged them all. Brutal.
Yeah, Buanga definitely had his fair share of chances. Johnny Klinsmann came through with some big stops. Buanga, even after LAFC had a lead, then Buanga was still getting plenty of opportunities. Don't know how he didn't get at least a goal or an assist, but hey, it happens.
It happens. It happens. You did get your goal out of Jesus Ferrer when you called assist, so we give you a yellow on that. Carlos Coronel with the late stain. I picked Swiderski for a goal and Espinoza for an assist, and they flip-flopped. Swiderski got the assist, Espinoza got the goal. I will take credit for both. And Marty Pice could not pull off the clean sheet, unfortunately, which was we hated to see it, to be honest. I mean, there's just no other way to say it than we hated to see it. So, but let's get on to this week. And I think you went first last week, so I'm going to go first this week. All right, how's that sound?
Works for me.
And shout out, by the way, shout out to all the commenters who love the definite decisives. We love you all. And they noted, if you look in this little part of the screen right here, you can see when I click on each of these boxes down here, you can see the answer before I change the color from blank to black so that the name becomes visible. So
somebody's got a good eye.
It's
out
a
there.
little, yeah. It's multiple viewers told us about them and said, hey, watch out for, the early reveal. And all I can say is, I don't know enough about Google Docs here to hide this little thing right here. Unfortunately, I tried like for 20 minutes, couldn't do it. So just, if you don't want to be spoiled, do not look in this part of the screen right here. But we're going to start with my guaranteed goal, which is Danny Gazdag. It's time to get on the Gazdag train. This guy somehow gets there every week. He scores a decisive every week. I don't know how. Usually it's a penalty kick. I kind of hate him for it, but I kind of also respect him for it. And so I'm going to try to benefit from it in my definite decisives this week.
I like it. He's on penalties too for Philly,
right.
So
exactly
you could eat into some of that.
That's the key. So for your goal, you're going with the man himself, Cheech, the little P, Chicharito. Tell me about it.
Going with Chicharito, watching that El Trafico, then he was dangerous. He got an assist his first start of the season. And yeah, I mean, he's a guy I know everybody's kind of got their opinion about Chicharito. He's getting old, this and that. But hey,
you're not worried about the altitude in Colorado?
He's a true goal scorer. I mean, he's a guy that you're gonna, yeah. And so he's back in the mix. He played a full 90 in his last game, and so yeah, I feel like I'm Chicharito. I'm not gonna say he's due, but hey, he's scored 17, 18 goals past 2 seasons, and so he's ready to get going. So yeah, let's roll with the little P.
I don't hate it. As for your assist, you're going with another Mexican national, Hector Herrera.
Yeah, Hector Herrera. He's coming off a suspension, so he's had a week rest, and
he's rested. Yeah, he's good. He was crushing before that. So
yeah, and he's been really good. I mean, he's been surprisingly good this season. Part of why Houston's actually just not completely at the bottom of the cellar.
Ache, dude. In another few weeks of this, we're gonna have to start talking about Houston's contenders, right?
Yeah, and just aside from his goals and assist contributions, and he's had some really good AA scores too. Just been really reliable this year to throw in a lineup and get 60, 70 points, whatever. But real quick, I know you mentioned something about altitude for LA that kind of went right past me, but they're actually playing at home against Austin FC.
Oh, I must have been looking at next week. I glanced at the schedule real quick, and I think I looked at them. They play at Colorado. They play at Colorado next week. Sorry, forgive me.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. So it's
at home against Austin is a much better matchup than at Colorado.
Good bounce back spot, like we said. So yeah, I think Chicharito opens his 23 account.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Altitude, the altitude of Los Angeles being
altitude out there. Yeah,
exactly. Something's high out there. Luis Araujo is my automatic assist. I'm going with Atlanta. It sucks losing Giacomacchi, but I just think Atlanta's clicking, and I like Luis. He's an up and down type of player. He was up. He just recently got back into the scoring, and I like him to do it again. For my could-be clean sheet, I'm going with Celentano. I think it's time to go with the young buck. It's his moment. It's his time. Cincinnati gets back. I'm a little worried about Cincinnati. I do think the odds are a little bit fake odds, if you will. But I don't think Portland is truly all the way back. They had a nice little blitz of goals against Seattle, inspired by that bicycle from Asprilla, but I'm not going to count them all the way back to go into Cincinnati and get a road win. I think it's a hard fought, like 0-0 draw for Portland, Cincinnati, with Celentano getting the cleanie.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good bounce back spot for him. Definitely feel like with no Lucho, then yeah, they might have to play a little more defensive.
It's a grind out. It's grind out city. Exactly. And then you are going with the old man.
Yeah, going back with Fry, I feel like it's a good bounce back spot for them. Feels like I keep saying bounce back spot, but several teams.
It's bounce back time, baby.
Yeah, several teams took it on the chin last week, but now they're back at home with a good matchup, and I feel like this is one of them. Seattle at home against Minnesota, who, hey, this is another one that, like we've said, like if I roll with Jiang Bin, then and he happens to breach Seattle, I won't be mad about it. But if Fry keeps a clean sheet,
exactly.
I've got a lot of exposure to Fry as well. Yeah, I just feel like Minnesota is still trying to get their bearings in the attack going. They've looked okay at moments, but they still haven't looked just like a team that you're going to fear their attack, especially on the road at Seattle.
Yeah,
maybe Jiang Bin changes that. I hope that's the case. But yeah, for now, I feel like Seattle can get a result here.
It's all about Ben, baby. But here's the decisives: Chicharito, Herrera, Fry, Gazdag, Luis, and Celentano. That's who we're going with. Taylor fade, but never ignore. That's what I say. You got to at least pay attention to what we're saying because we're saying it with conviction. So it's a definite decisive, baby. So that's it for us. We really appreciate you guys watching, especially when we run long like this. But hopefully the information is all good and it's worth watching. So good luck on your game week. Enjoy. Let us know how we're doing in the comments. Let us know what you want to hear, what you want us to cover. And we will see you next time.